Welcome back to the Man That Can Project podcast. So, this podcast shares stories and experiences from men on how to create self-awareness and improve self-identification or get more clarity around who you are as an individual. There are too many men out there struggling, so let's help each other become the man that can. So, on today's episode, I talk about bouncing back from rock bottom. It was something that I was asked on Instagram Live the other day, so I thought, why not take it back on Instagram Live? So, this is a recording from Instagram. So there will be a little bit of interaction, but I hope you guys get immense value from it. So just before we get into the episode, coming up next Thursday, if you're listening to this in before the 14th of March 2019, we have our second Man Talk, the Man That Can in Brisbane. So if you're in Brisbane, you can definitely jump on eventbrite.com, search the Man That Can and grab yourself a ticket to come along to that. That's where we'll be having discussions, allowing people to listen and share their stories and challenges that they're going through so that you can walk away with a bit more clarity around the struggles that you're having and just see that it's normal to have challenges. It is normal. One of the other things, guys, if you're not subscribed to my email list yet, just jump over to LachieStuartCoaching.net or themanthatcan.com and there'll be a little pop-up. You can join the email list, so I'll just share what's going on, upcoming events, latest podcasts, and most impactful posts on Instagram during the week. So if you want to tune into that, also jump on board there. As for now, enjoy the episode.
Is bouncing back from rock bottom. So someone asked me that yesterday. That was one of the things they wanted me to talk about. So here we are talking about it. And what I want to get clear on before, I go into my story and what rock bottom was for me, I want everyone to understand that what rock bottom was for me may be different to what rock bottom is for everyone. Everyone's rock bottom is different. There's no fucking, general standard that everyone sort of has to hit to feel like it's rock bottom for them, okay? It's whatever it feels like for you for the lowest, I guess that lowest point where you feel you can't go any lower or things can't get any tougher, okay? And for me, I guess that rock bottom point was 4 or 5 years ago, after I felt like I had no drive, no purpose, I lacked self-esteem, and I was doing a lot of stuff that didn't feel right or I didn't agree with, but I didn't really know why. And it was that place where I was consistently, trying to sleep with as many girls as possible. And you guys have probably heard this a lot, or some people can relate to it. It's just like, that's what a lot of blokes are doing. It's like when I was trying to get love and connection by sleeping with as many girls as possible, because I thought every time I got new interest, I felt valued, right? I felt loved, I felt connected. But then obviously that feeling wears off really quick, because after, you do the deed, that's it, right? There's no more deeper conversation or connection going on there. So you just be on the same pattern. And what that happened, going through that roller coaster, the emotional wear and tear, the pain, the heartache, and for me was just like, right, I want to numb this pain. And obviously over time started experimenting with a lot of recreational drugs, and because that made me feel good, because that allowed me to have an awesome time and not really hold on to the emotions, the negative emotions that I was feeling, it became addictive, right? And as a result of what was happening through experimenting with all these drugs and doing all that sort of stuff, obviously there was some good moments, and I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed recreational drug use, or at the time I was doing it, thanks for the hearts, but there were obviously the consequences, the risk versus reward wasn't there. Right, when I'd wake up, the come down was fucking horrible. It amplified all the stuff that I was trying to suppress. So even though it gave me, a couple of hour window to feel good and forget about things and just focus on the present or having a good time, the following day or the following couple of days, everything was amplified in my face, and it just made me feel a whole lot worse, right? So as that went on, the emotions got bigger and bigger, because once again I was doing a lot more of the things that I didn't agree with, and every time I would wake up I'd be like, I'm not doing that. People can relate just from the fact of when you have a big hangover, you're like, I'm not drinking for a while, but then you end up drinking again. Why? Because generally it provides a good time, it's social, or you're trying to numb something, right? That happens for everyone's got things as to why they do it, okay? And what that then led me to do was get to a point where I was taking all these recreational drugs. I was in a shit position. I didn't know who I was. I fucking hated what I was doing. I hated waking up on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning and being like, we're here again. Nothing's changed. This is the fucking 20th week in a row that I'm feeling like this. And, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I don't know what else to do. I don't have another way. I don't know any people who are doing anything different because everyone in my environment was doing the same thing. Right? So you're sitting there confronted with the stuff that you hate about yourself so much, but I didn't have the viewpoint or the understanding that I could change that. Right? That had become my rock bottom. Right? I was at the point, and I said this on yesterday's chat, like I didn't care whether I woke up or not. It got to the point where I was like I wasn't intentionally going to take my life, but it was at the point where I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Right? It literally doesn't matter to me. The value of my own life didn't matter. Right? So that to me was what my rock bottom looked like. And once again, guys, some people's rock bottom to me in my eyes is so much worse than what I've experienced, and some people so it's all comparative to what each of us lads have been through, right? But I know a lot of you guys can relate to me, and a lot of more and more men I speak to have struggled with addiction in some way, whether it's alcohol, drug abuse, gambling. Okay, there's all that kind of stuff happening, and it's because we're trying to hide something or suppress something or take our focus off the work that we need to do. But eventually, I hit rock bottom, and it was like I felt like nothing could get any worse. I didn't care whether I was here or not. But while I was here, the pain of knowing that I wasn't living up to my true potential was fucking frustrating. It got to the point where I was like, something can change. And I was so lucky, and this is what I'm going to talk about in a minute. I talk about it all the time. Environment. I had a guy who obviously saw that I was struggling. And this is why I love doing what I do, because I see people struggling all the time. I still personally struggle. Saw I was struggling, and he gave me a book, right? And that book was the 4 Agreements, which is, I hold them, I've got copies in my cupboard all the time, because I give it to people who I feel will get value from it, right? And that book was the first time, and I didn't read much, guys. It was the first time that I could see that you could actually change stuff. All of the 4 Agreements I was not doing. I was not being impeccable with my word. I was a liar. I was a manipulator. Okay, I was not actually living to my true values. So that helped me get my head around the fact that maybe I'm the reason why I'm in the position I'm in. No one else, not anyone else. But this whole time I'd been blaming ex-girlfriends for making me feel shitty and making me turn to drugs, when in the reality, and when I took a moment to think about it, I was like, actually, it's my fault. I can't blame anyone for my circumstances. I can't blame anyone because I'm at rock bottom. Yeah, I'd love to have more support. Cool, we all would, but I still am fortunate enough I had a better support network than a lot of people I've spoken to since. So I had so much to be grateful for. But I was at a point where I just wanted to be negative. I had these blinders on that were just being like, righto, you're in this shit position, you're doing all these bad things, that's who you are, that's your identity. Okay? That rock bottom situation that you feel you're in, as much as you're blaming everyone else, you've put yourself there. The actions that you've made, the decisions that you've made, the people you hang around, all of that is, what you've called for. And you can imagine, and I know at that point in time, I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to have that realization. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Right? It was that moment that helped me realize that rock bottom, nothing's going to get any worse. Okay? If I'm going to continue substance abuse to the point where I don't care if I'm here or not, I may as well start making taking some risks and failing, because if I don't care, it doesn't matter anyway, right? So bouncing back from rock bottom started from that point. That's when I decided, I read one book, let's read another one and see what I can learn. Okay, and I started reading these books, all self-help ones, and it got to a point where I was like, I became obsessed with it, and I became so psyched about what I was learning. It almost gave me this newfound passion where I was like, I just want to start talking about what I'm learning. right? So I started talking to people every single day, being like, I'm learning this, I'm doing this, and I was posting on social media. All this sort of stuff happened, and what it allowed me to do, it allowed me to regurgitate the stuff I was learning, but in my own words, to make sure that I was actually listening and learning to the stuff that I was reading or listening to on audio, right? Like you guys are right now. And that then started helping me grow my confidence, because obviously, you know, people were like, oh, that's awesome, da 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 da. So I was getting all this validation along the way that what I was doing was important and was valuable. Okay, so to me, that was a way that started getting my confidence up, and it started making me feel good, right? And then sent me on this path eventually, which is how I got into coaching, was that like people believe in me, people believe in my story, people, I'm changing who I am and I'm changing my life. Maybe if I help people see and do the same thing, they can change their own life, because I know I'm not alone when it comes to lacking self-esteem, lacking self-confidence, and not having any clarity around who I was as a person. Okay, and I know there's people I get to speak to every single day who feel like they're at their rock bottom. So if we can teach you guys how to bounce back from rock bottom, you know, then that would be ideal, right? And if you think so, hit some hearts, or if you're getting value so far, please send me messages, right? So we can chat. But a few of the things that, you know, I believed helped me bounce back, you know, obviously it was the first book. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're already 10 steps ahead of where I was. You're already obviously doing some personal development. You may have listened to some of my podcasts before, or someone else's podcast before, okay, which is awesome. So you're already 10 steps ahead of where I am. But what I want you to get clear on is really identify the habits or the decisions that have got you to where you are right now. So if you're not happy with where you're at, if you feel like you're at rock bottom, or realistically, if you, like I just said, you don't like where you are, identify what's got you to that point. What don't you like about your current situation? All right, because when you get clear on that and be honest with yourself, a lot of the stuff you might like, but if you can get clear on that, you can then say, all right, well, how can I eliminate this stuff from my life or replace it with things that I do like, that is going to improve my quality of life? Okay, what do I need to do? What habits do I need to change? What skills do I need to learn? What people do I need to hang around? What books do I need to read? Okay, you got to start putting this plan in place. And I know when you're at the rock bottom, it's the last thing you want to fucking do. So I'll tell you right now, grab a book called The 4 Agreements and just start listening to it, or listen to more of my podcasts, or listen to anyone's podcast on self-help. Okay, just start fueling the brain with different positive stuff. Okay, that's going to get your mind ticking over. That would be my first thing. But then once you've started to build that momentum, okay, that's when I want you to identify those habits and decisions that aren't serving you well. Those people that aren't serving you well. Those events that you're going to that aren't serving you well. Identify it and start working on how you're going to flip that around and make it positive, right? Beneficial to your life. I also want you to secondly then think about, or understand, get your head around the fact that it's not a linear graph. You don't just make the decision and it's going to be all uphill from here, right? It's going to look like you're climbing Mount Everest. There's going to be peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. But as long as on the long term you're still going up, that's where you want to be, right? So how can you make that better? Get yourself a good supportive environment, or hang around people who are going to challenge you but also support you through the highs and lows, because it's tough. There are going to be times when you question whether you can do it, whether you're worthy of all of this, right? Because you're coming out of that low self-esteem phase. It's normal. I still go through it now. It's 5 years later. And I've been doing this for 5 years. That's nothing. But I still go through those days where I'm like, am I any good? Right? And I know when I think logically that that's just a part of this process. Okay? Each day I'm just like, right, I just do what I said I was gonna do. Whoop, my phone's slipping. Okay, just keep being... Sorry guys. And that's what you got to focus on. Oh, that's phone slipping. Cool. Okay, and that's where I am. So understand there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be obstacles, but each one of those challenges is an opportunity for you to learn and grow so that you become a little bit better than you were yesterday, right? And it's understanding that you're not shit where you are right now. Like you're not a bad person, right? You should be so stoked with who you are right now. But it's okay to want to be a better version than you are right now, right? Because you know what your life's going to be right now if you remain who you are. But and I heard Jordan Peterson said this the other night when I saw it, having a challenge gives you a purpose. So if you don't have a purpose, find a challenge in your life and work on changing it. I thought that was freaking amazing when I heard that. Okay, so understand every setback is an opportunity to give you a bit more purpose on how you can be a better version of yourself and then create that better quality of life for yourself, right? And like I said, guys, not all of us are fortunate to have great support networks. Like, I always have had an amazing support network, and I took that for granted for so long. I didn't utilize it when I had it, but I still had people around who wanted the best for me. And I understand a lot of you guys don't have that. Okay, so utilize, you watching this right now, I'm here to support and help you guys. So, if you ever need to chat, that's what this is for. Come along to our Man That Can events in Brisbane. Join into the network. There's all of this stuff here. Okay, and it's really, when you do keep hitting those low points, obviously once you hit rock bottom, you feel like there's nowhere lower to go. Start asking yourself what things you're going to put in place to help you look up when you're at that low point. Right? Because I know when I hit the low points, and I still have the low points, everyone does, right? Everyone has those moments where you're just like, fuck, it's a bit much today, right? That's normal. Okay. So what do? Like, I speak about this all the time. Like, my partner knows when I'm going through this stuff to just leave me alone. For me, I need to sometimes have those moments where I sit in self-pity and feel bad about myself. Like, I actually feel I need that. Then when I start getting over the emotional side of it and start thinking more logically, okay, I then go, right, what do I need to do to get out of this sort of slump or rut? And for me, one of the biggest things is, like, I need to, get back into my meditation, do a little bit of self-development, and that might be reading, listening to a podcast, or exercising, because then that gives me purpose. That helps me feel like I'm making progress again. And that's what I need to do, and that's what I've sort of put in place to get myself out of those slumps. And everyone's different, right? So it's really about identifying all of this for yourself. This whole thing we're talking about, bouncing back from rock bottom, guys, it's all individualized to what you're going through, the self-awareness that you have, the clarity you have around who you are as a person. Okay? All of this is important. And you can listen to my podcast, you can listen to any podcast or anyone as much as you want, but eventually you're going to have to sit down and start figuring this out for yourself. You're going to have to invest the time in yourself to be like, well, what is it that I need to work on at the moment to make me start having a better plan or idea of who I am and where I want to go and what I want to become? How am I going to get away from rock bottom? Okay, and a lot of you guys are already a million steps ahead of most people. The fact that you've got internet means you can Google a lot of stuff. You can connect with people all around the world who can be great support networks, right? You can listen to podcasts. You've got access to so many things that can help shape your mind or fuel your brain, right? That can get you from rock bottom. So that would be my advice to you guys. And obviously everyone's rock bottom's different. I shared a little bit about mine, and I'm going to start sharing in more detailed stories through my posts, not necessarily through lives. Okay. But understand there's going to be setbacks. You've got to have a plan. You've got to start moving forward. You've got to get around those positive people. All right? If you start doing that, I guarantee you're going to start getting into a better peace of mind, okay, for yourself. So guys, thanks once again for tuning in. Short and sharp today. If you aren't listening to the podcast, you can find it on all platforms really, but it's The Man That Can. Okay, and if you want to share or send through topics or questions that you have, either DM me, all right? Putting them in the chat box, because then I'll do my best to share my experiences or what I've learned around those areas if I feel I can add some value there. Cool? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great day, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachie Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.